There you go. Look at that. It's recording. Okay, I'm going to start my script. So, my name is Joshua Spare. I'm the chair of the Grand Prairie Peninsula PID Board. Welcome to the board meeting of August 13th, 2020. In accordance with the Texas Governor's March 13th, 2020 disaster declaration and subsequent suspension of certain Texas Open Meetings Act provisions, the meeting of the Commission Board is hereby called to order via teleconference at 6:40 p.m. As this meeting is being held through teleconference, each speaker should announce their name before speaking each time they speak. The meeting follows a printed agenda that is available online and was posted according to the Open Meetings Act. We will begin with a roll call. Could each board member please say here when your name is called? Andrea Kinlock. All right, just making sure. Roy Davis.
Here.
Ken Self.
Here.
And Joshua Spare, I am here as well. Let the record reflect that 3 members are present, and this satisfies the quorum requirement. In an effort to minimize disruptions, the following meeting guidelines will apply. Board members, staff, and citizens, please keep your phone on mute at all times unless speaking. City staff will present first on any item. If a board member wishes to speak, please state your name. Once I call on you, clearly state your name at every time at the beginning. After the board finishes their discussion, I will ask for citizen comment. If a citizen wishes to speak, please state your name at this time and I will call on you. Each member of the public will have 5 minutes to speak, with additional time being allowed by the discretion of the chairman. Once I call on you, clearly state your name every time at the beginning. For each vote, I will call on each board member and that person will state their vote. An extended pause during voting will be provided to ensure all votes are recorded accurately. This meeting is being recorded and will later be posted to the Grand Prairie website. Let's start with agenda item 1. Staff, if you can please state your name and give your presentation. Anyone?
The first item we had was the minutes of the July 16th meeting.
Okay. All right. So does everybody want to look over the minutes in their packet? And if they agree or have any questions, if not, entertain a motion from one of the board members.
Where is the I just was looking at the agenda for tonight. It doesn't have last week's meeting minutes on it. Where do we have that?
Yeah, do you have those anywhere?
They're missing from the packet. They are actually posted on the website, but if you'd like to table it to the next meeting, you can.
Let's just table that so we can we'll just do 2 minute approvals at once next meeting. Okay, the next item on the agenda, this is Joshua Spare speaking, by the way. The next item on the agenda is the Westra design proposal. Tamara, if you could take it away.
Well, I will go ahead and introduce Raghu with Westra. He is going to be presenting the design proposal. Raghu?
All right.
Yes. Yeah, this is Raghu Rao with Westra. This is sort of like a follow-up to our previous meeting last month where you guys had requested me to put together a proposal to look at the slope repair on pond number 4 and then pond number 2, and then minimum dredging in pond 1 right in front of the outfall structure, for the storm drain system from Darcena Court to alleviate the flooding on Darcena Court. And also TV the storm drain line on Darcena Court to make sure that, there's no, that the structure is still good. Nothing's falling apart. There's no hindrance to the flow, and to find out if there's any silt accumulated in the pipe that needs to be cleaned. So we've actually put together a team here. We're going to do all the engineering, but we have a geotechnical sub-consultant who's going to provide us a couple of bores, especially on pond number 4. The reason why we decided to do the bores is our geotechnical engineer feels like the shift in the soil on the channel banks are about 11 feet or greater. And one way to determine what's happening in the area is to take a bore sample to find out if it's superficial or if there's something happening, underground that we can't see. And what they do is they take 2 bores. One is a machine bore, and it goes up to a depth of anywhere between 35 to 40 feet. And they'll try to hit bedrock to see if the fracture is happening, really deep, or is it shallow. And the other bore is going to be a hand bore, and these don't go any deeper than 10 feet, and it's closer to the water to find out, if it's going to slide anymore and the whole bank, will it fall into the pond. We went out and we looked at the site, and there was another area just on the other side of the bank. If you've had a chance to look at our proposal, I have some exhibits in the back that shows areas where there's slope failure on pond number 4, and then the area where there's slope failure on pond number 2. What we're going to do as part of... Sorry?
I have that up on pond 2.
Okay. I'm actually looking at, so exhibit 1, pond number 2. Y'all see where the failure is happening. We did not want to do a bore here because the shift is less than 5 feet. Anything less than 5 feet, our geotech engineer recommends we don't need a bore. We can go back and look at, the grade, depending on is it because of a storm drain pipe? Because if you look at the aerial, there's an inlet right on the other side, and we suspect that this movement is probably because of the movement in pipe, which we consider to be superficial, that can be fixed without doing a bore, which is why we decided not to do a bore. And keep in mind, anytime they have to do a machine bore, it's very expensive. So we tried to limit the engineering cost as little as possible, and we feel confident that we can address this low failure on pond number 2 without doing a bore. We are going to restore the channel bank to its original condition based on the record drawings that we have. So you're not going to see any reduction or increase in the capacity in the pond. We will restore it back to what it was originally intended for. Like, if you had a certain type of grass, we're going to try and inspect that to make sure that the contractor will put the same kind of grass in the area. But we are just from an engineering perspective, that area that you're seeing is just an approximate location. That doesn't mean we're going to improve the entire area. But we are going to get survey in case, we find out that, if we have to tie in a little bit further, and we don't have to send our crews out again to do it, which would be expensive. They have to go do it over and over again. So that limits us mostly to show where we're going to get topographic survey, but the slope failure repair will be much smaller than the area that you're looking at. You don't have any questions? Just on pond number 2.
No, that was pretty clear.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, and then moving on to exhibit number 2. You can see 2 locations, and these locations are on either side of that pipe outfall. It's a pretty big outfall coming into that pond at that location. The one that's closer to Nautica Drive has failed more. That channel bank has failed more than the channel bank that's on the other side. But we decided to consider both of this because I understand the direction that was given to us was to make sure that it's safe for people. And when we looked at our photographs, the slope on the other side, I want to say on the northeast side, is closer to that home, which is why we want to go ahead and then take care of it right now before, it becomes a problem where it starts encroaching that property. So if y'all are okay, we want to design improvements for both of this and then take care of it one time. There are no other slope stability issues in the pond. So, once we determine where the fail is happening in the soil, we'll be able to come up with some engineering options to fix it. And, hopefully that should stop the stope failure for a while. The machine boring will happen closer to the road, just on the other side of the sidewalk. And then the other one, they're going to do it closer to the water. And we're going to let the geotech engineer decide what is the best location to do those bores. They have more experience in coming up with those locations. But we are going to do 2 bores for pond number 4. Again, the area that you're looking at is very approximate, but the improvements will be limited inside that area, and everything will be restored according to record drawings, and then, all the grass will be put back to its native condition in this area. Any questions on pond number 4?
I do not.
Down here.
Okay. This is the last exhibit, which is exhibit number 3. The area that you're looking at that shows the pond dredging, we assumed an area which is approximately 2,500 square feet. And we are going to make that determination after, we take cross sections. We've already done bathymetric survey as part of phase 1. And the bathymetric survey kind of gives us an idea as to what area has more silt accumulation. So we're going to target that area. But we are assuming, as a whole, 2,500 square feet. So it can be, 100 feet long and then 25 feet wide, or 50 by 50, whatever it needs to be. But we're going to limit it to 2,500 square feet. We're going to make sure that, whoever dredges the pond, will give them what the original pond bottom was, so they can dredge it and then bring it back to its original condition. One of the things that we can do during construction is bid it as either a hydraulic dredge or a mechanical dredge. The difference between mechanical and hydraulic is, one, they will have to put cofferdams or temporary dams in the pond to restrict this area, and then they'll pump all the water out. They'll get it dry, you can actually see it, and then, they'll get a bobcat or something and then just clear out all the silt. That's mechanical. And hydraulic is, there won't be a cofferdam, but they will actually dredge with the pond, with the water in the pond. So everything's going to be happening below the water surface, so you really can't tell. And what they normally do is they take the bathymetric survey that we've given them. They go in there, they clear or they dredge the pond bottom, and then they do another survey, another bathymetric survey, and the contractor will do it to verify that the new bottom is very close to the original bottom. So hydraulic dredging, it all depends on the cost. We've actually done 2 projects in Arlington. We always bid it both ways, and then we let the client decide which one's more favorable. Um, there's pros and cons to both. With the mechanical dredging, you have to really worry about the smell because they're going to dry the pond. They'll have to wait for a couple of days for that silt to dry up before they pick it out. So some of those homes, I mean, if they sit in their backyard, they can smell it. With hydraulic dredging, you don't have to deal with the smell while they're dredging, but when they actually take the dredge material out, they have to put it in filter bags before they can actually haul it to the landfill. So and it's going to smell, and the filter bags are going to be above the ground, and they basically dredge everything, put everything in the filter bag. It's going to sit there, wait for all the water to the silt to dry out, and then they'll transport it to the landfill. So in both cases, there's the residents will have to deal with the foul smell, but mechanical dredging, you're not going to have any filter bags. They'll put the cofferdam, they'll wait for the moisture content to drop, and then as they're hauling material, they'll put it in the dump truck and it'll go directly to the landfill. So you have
I have a question, Raghu.
Yes.
In your opinion, which one would you say was the most effective, mechanical or hydraulic?
They're both very effective. So, I'm going to give you guys an example. So in Arlington, Johnson Creek is one of their biggest creeks, and they have 3 ponds on Johnson Creek. And one of those, you guys might be familiar, it's the 2 ponds in front of the ballpark. That one, the city decided to do hydraulic dredging on that one because it's an area where there's a lot of people. They didn't want to put cofferdams everywhere and then stink up the entire place. I mean, it's really bad, and it's really bad either ways. But they go back and then they completely clean the bottom. The only thing is you won't be able to visualize it because it's below the ground. The biggest concern here is which one's cheaper. Both of them are pretty effective. I would say mechanical is a little bit more effective than hydraulic just because you can actually see the bottom physically and they can go clean it out really quick. Hydraulic, they'll have to do 2 or 3 times to get to the desired depth and make sure that, everything is put back to original condition. So in my opinion, hydraulic dredging is going to take a little longer than mechanical. But the main driving factor here is there's only a few contractors in the state of Texas that do this kind of work. It's a very specialty work. So my recommendation would be to take our plans and then we will bid it both ways. And we'll find out which one's cheaper. And then, we can discuss as to how to move forward. And at that point, I'll be able to give you a much more clear understanding as to, depending on which option you all choose, we can talk more about the pros and cons. But at this time, I can't get anybody to give me a price because we don't have plans yet. Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Okay. The other thing that we're going to do as part of this project is there's a storm drain pipe that runs on Darcina Court, and it's actually a box culvert. It's a 5x4 box culvert. It runs north-south, and then right at the cul-de-sac, it makes a left turn and then sort of goes in the western direction before it outfalls into Pond 1. And we suspect that because there's a lot of silt in the pond, some of that silt might be carried into this pipe as well. So we have a CCTV company that will bring a robotic camera and they'll run it through this pipe system. And we have estimated about 750 linear feet of CCTVing the system. Basically, it's going to start, I don't have that street name here. It's just on the other side of my exhibit. That's where you have the manhole, and that's how they're going to access the system. And they're going to run their camera from that system. And the way the CCTV works is it won't tell you the depth of the silt, but it will tell you how far the silt is accumulated in the pipe. The robotic camera can go up to the water or silt. It can go, below it or through it, because then the camera won't work. But at least we will be able to figure out a volume, because we know the size of the pipe, and if we know how far and the depth of silt, then we can come up with an approximate price and ask the contractor to give us a price for cleaning it out. The other thing with the CCTV is it'll tell us the structural integrity of that 5x4 box. If the soil in the area has moved for some reason, in these 5x4, when they construct it, they actually have collars. So these are 6-foot sections that are laid in series, and then they connect them by collars, and then these collars have a gasket around them. When the soil moves, there's a tendency for the gasket to move, but the gaskets are flexible. They should be able to handle small movements, but it all depends. But the CCTV will be able to tell us if these boxes have moved to where now the collar is completely separated, and there's a structural issue with the pipe itself. So we decided to do the CCTV to get you all a better understanding of what's going on. And they'll also provide us the video of the whole thing, so y'all can look at it and determine the status of that storm drain system. So cleaning the pond right near the outfall, and then cleaning the pipe should alleviate the ponding issue in Darsena Court. As we've analyzed in phase 1, the system has plenty of capacity. The lateral pipe that's on Darsena Court has plenty of capacity. So at this point, we're thinking that the only reason the water is backing up is probably because of conveyance. So there's something restricting it that we don't know, and the CCTV will tell us that. We're going to take all of this information and put it into plans. So y'all have any questions?
No, this sounds like a good plan.
So
I think it's,
this. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, that's fine, Ken. Go ahead.
So this is Ken. So the scope of services that you guys have given us, I guess Exhibit A, scope of service, that gives a description of Task A, Task B, Task C, Task D, E, F, G, H. All of that you're stating that you'll do for a price of $47,875.
Yes, sir.
Anything that occurs that may cause a bit of scope creep or not specifically mentioned in this scope results in additional hourly billing at $140.
Yes, sir.
So I've got a question.
Okay.
So we hired you guys, I guess it was probably last year, to come in and do some survey work to tell us about the condition of the ponds, engineering, recommendations on things that needed to get done. Obviously, your knowledge of what needs to occur on all these ponds, not just 1, 2, and 4, but all the ponds that you guys looked at. The knowledge that you have is put into this scope to address specific things for pond 1, 2, and 4. But it appears that the $47,000 may not actually be the work itself. It appears that it's more engineering services, designing, doing drawings and additional surveys, not necessarily the work itself. Am I reading that right?
Yes, this is only engineering services. The construction is separate. We have to bid this project out, and you're going to get a contractor to come in and then fix all these issues. This does not include construction. No, this is just engineering design.
I just wanted to make sure I was reading it right, because that's how I was reading it. I was reading it where it looked like hey, we're going to give you designs and the drawings, so that the construction crew can go in and do what they need to do. You're gonna actually do the drawings for the guys that run the backhoes and the grading machines and so forth to go in and actually do the work from your drawings.
Yes, and we will also help you bid this project. We will help you select the contractor for this project, and we will also answer any engineering questions that the contractor might have during the course of the project.
Okay. Cool. And that's part of the 47?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's the
cool.
section which is the last two tasks, I believe. Task G is the bidding phase, and then task H is construction observation.
Okay. Yeah, I'd gotten down to E, and that's when I started asking my question. So that's good.
Yeah. Because this is it's a PID project, and the way I understand it is it's quasi-government. So all of our plans will be reviewed by City of Grand Prairie. So we have to prepare all of our plans per city criteria. And they have very specific rules on how the plans have to look. It's very similar to your subdivision plans that you all have looked at before. And I believe during construction, the city will provide their own inspectors to come inspect the project. Contractors they have their inspectors, or superintendents, but inspection services will be provided by the city, meaning
they got a construction permit and have the green card to get
exactly. They're the ones
go
who
ahead.
Come because they will come in through the course of the project. They'll make sure that everything is being constructed per plans, and they actually do a final walkthrough to make sure that they accept the project. Even though it's a PID project, ultimately it's City of Grand Prairie's responsibility. So they have to accept the project, and you have to accept the project before it's finalized.
Yeah.
And the contractor will provide a maintenance bond and a performance bond, and those bonds are good for 2 years. And I believe I don't know how this is done. I might be wrong, but I think the client will be City of Grand Prairie. Lee, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. The contract will be with the City of Grand Prairie, although the PID is doing the project.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
So basically, so whatever work they do, it's guaranteed for 2 years. So if there's anything that goes wrong, we have a bond for it, and that's according to city criteria.
Cool.
One thing that you all don't have to do as part of this project is you don't have to go after competitive bidding per city standards, which is, it's going to save you guys some money because the city process is very elaborate. Like you have to advertise in the newspaper, it has to be close bids, and then you have to have a minimum of 3 bids before you can award a project. But on this one, you have the flexibility of picking a contractor. It doesn't have to be competitive bid. He has to still provide all the insurances and all the bonds, but if you like a certain contractor, we can just go ask that contractor to give us a price and you can award the project to him. It doesn't have to be competitive bidding.
Cool.
Any questions?
Good to know. Good to know.
Okay. And we've given some approximate dates on when we will finish these plans. Our game plan is to get it done sooner than that, but because we have subs working for us, I really can't, commit on their schedule, which is why the timeline might look a little longer. But if we get all the information, quickly, we can finish our plans much quicker than the schedule that you see there. But we just have to be conservative.
I get you. So on paper it's conservative, but you may be able to move faster than that.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, Josh, thank you very much. That's a good proposal.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You need, I guess, do we have any, are you done, Raghu?
Yes, unless y'all had any other questions for me.
I do not. Does anyone on the commission, board, have any questions? All right, doesn't sound like we do. Is there any discussion amongst the board about this proposal, or do you have somebody have a motion?
This Ken, I would say I was a little bit. I always get a little bit of sticker shock on cost, but when I boil it down, it's for the services that they're doing, it's probably fairly reasonable. I probably will ask everybody's opinion on that, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we think the dollar amount is fair, and that we're being good stewards of the community's money. But when I first saw it, like I say, I had a little bit of sticker shock, but when I sit and think about it and the amount of work and time and the things that they've got included in the scope, it's probably fair.
This is Josh. I agree with you, Ken. This is a complex project. Involves a lot of different technologies, and it's in 3 different locations as well. And their guidance and recommendations and management is what we're paying for. I think the only way to be successful with this thing is to have their expertise.
Agree.
All right. Does anybody want to make a motion?
This is Roy. I make a motion to approve the project plans by Raghu.
All right.
That would.
Motion to approve by Roy.
I'll second it.
Second by Ken.
This is Ken. Sorry.
All right. All right. I'll call a vote. Joshua Spare, I say aye. Ken Self.
Aye.
Roy Davis.
Aye.
All right. The ayes have it. We will be moving forward with this. Thank you very much for putting such a good proposal together for us and making it kind of easy to make this decision. So I appreciate that.
We're very excited about this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, now we're moving on to the financial update. Lee?
Okay, we have the new budget for fiscal 21, and I put a copy of that in your packet and also emailed it out to you this weekend. So I don't know if y'all had a chance to look at that.
I've got it up in front of me right now.
Okay. In fiscal 20, I'm estimating that we end the year with $772,000. Which would carry forward to the beginning of fiscal 21. And then, so your estimated assessments have increased. I think they went up about $70,000. And so we estimate $1.7 million for those. And with total revenue of $1.8 million. And then I kept most of the budgeted expenses the same. Tamara's recommending that we add about $100,000 to the mowing contract, which will be for tree trimming. She was telling me earlier, a lot of your trees have matured and they're at the point where they need a lot of trimming, pruning, shaping. So I'm going to increase that mowing contract to $715,000.
Yes, team, and that's beyond just your typical pruning, limbing up so that there's clearance with the impact to the sidewalk. The contract just covers that clearance prune back. So what we're talking about now at this point, your trees have matured, you have fuller canopies, and so you really need to get on a structural pruning, capital pruning plan for these trees. You guys might remember we've had some homeowners reaching out about the trees are overhanging into my, into my backyard, and just in general to help protect the integrity and the health of the trees to prune and structure those canopies accordingly. So that will help from just the health of the trees as a whole, and then also from homeowner concerns that are expressed with those limbs encroaching upon their backyards. So it's not something that we have done or that I'm aware of that we've done since I've been here or previously, that there was structural pruning. So it would be something to look at every 2 to 3 years to be budgeting for. But yeah, with all of the new development previously, it probably wasn't something that you were doing because your trees hadn't matured as of yet. So that's just something I'm recommending. I'm waiting on a proposal from Land Care. They would sub the work out to their arborist. I've asked them to get, I do want to have some competitive bids, so I've asked them to provide 2 bids. But we're looking in the neighborhood of $80,000 to $100,000 to facilitate the structural pruning for all of the mature trees throughout the PID.
All right. That's something that we need to do. We have to keep the place looking good. I am noticing this is Joshua Spare, by the way, sorry. I'm noticing on the 2021 proposed that we are going to be about $500,000 over our revenue. A little less than that.
Well,
This kid, I was noticing the same thing.
Budgeted, I put in the budget $800,000 for pond improvements. I'm not sure, actually how much that pond work's going to cost, but to me, that's not just standard maintenance. That's the sort of thing, you would spend the money you saved on. So that's not normal maintenance.
Yeah, it's like our reserve. We're pulling out a reserve for it. Okay, right. And we're actually going to be closer to $600,000 because we have to add another $100,000 for the mowing contract, like we just discussed. So, but there's just a budget. That doesn't mean we spend it. So, but that money the ending balance is revolving around specifically to be used for these kind of massive repairs. That's why we have it. So that makes total sense to me. The wall maintenance, when will that be complete? Will that be in next year's budget as well? I mean, the project we have going on?
The current project is scheduled for completion at the beginning of October. Sorry, hold on real quick. Let me just confirm. Hold on. I might have misspoke.
This Ken, I think that was the last date I had heard was sometime October.
Yeah, I remember too.
Yep, it's October 2nd. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay. And was there another wave of it for next year?
It's something we discussed that we would be assessing annually on what those needs are. So, but we took care of all of the repairs noted during the inspection last year. But yes, this would be something that we need to look at essentially each year, keeping up on assessing and doing repairs on an annual basis. So so this current project was, what was that, Lee? Was it 180? What was the screening wall project for this year? Hold on.
Yeah, Yeah, so far, yeah, we're thinking 160,000.
Good, yeah,
Oh, yeah, but you have that one change order, so it's more like 180, right?
yes. And we haven't finished, so we're a little over halfway through, and we've done about $30,000 worth of change orders, or we have them in process. So, yeah, that puts us closer to that 180, 190.
This is Roy.
Okay.
I have a question. Now, because when you see wall maintenance, it's like 160 across the board, all the way into 24. Do we generally spend 160 a year on walls?
No, not every year, but I'm not sure what's expected. What do you think, Tamara?
Well, I mean, the walls, they're not getting any younger, and we have the shifting, right? We bid out so we bid this out to 3. We had a project manager come in, Roy, and I don't think you were here for that portion. We had a project manager come in to assess all the walls, develop the scope of work, and then we bid it out to 3 vendors. And so that with all of those repairs identified at that time, we end up with $160,000 contract for repairs to we have 14,000 linear feet of screening walls within the PID. I think we need to continue to budget that for the time being, and then review over the trends year over year.
Okay.
And just kind of go about it the same way, go and have them assessed each year, and then the scope develop, bid it out, and then as year over year, we'll just make sure that we evaluate that data and kind of look what that's trending toward. So I think historically we were kind of piecemealing it, just as we took taking a more proactive approach on an annual basis with this, just to be preventative and proactive with it.
Gotcha. So based on the report that was done, where do we stand as far as like the total framework of that proposal and getting that? Because I know when I came in, that was the big push is walls and ponds, right? Walls and ponds.
Yes.
So
Walls and ponds.
Where do we stand? Right now, the 2020, based on what we received as far as an understanding of where all of the work needs to be done on the walls, and how much have we been able to accomplish from that point to now, and so we know, are we putting 160 away like rainy day wall crumbles, or do we know in 21 we're going to need this, in 22 we know for sure we'll need this?
Yeah, it's going to be an ever changing, because you just don't know what type of wear and tear is going to take place. So that evaluation that was conducted for the project that we're completing as of right now was done in 2019.
Okay.
So here we are, we got contract had to be vetted. We bid it out, had to be vetted through the board, signed off by the city, then the vendor mobilized. Project started in March and is scheduled for completion in October. So that's where we are today. We'll just have to schedule another assessment of the walls, and then we basically start that process all over again.
Okay.
So it's hard. It's not it's hard to. There's not a set number. It's just going to be just continuing to collect the data year over year. And right now, we've had some cumulative repairs, not done like as a mass project in prior years, but we took a new approach with bringing in a project manager in 2019 to assess as a non-bias, they didn't bid the project, so we just had someone come out with their, to identify the scope and then put it out to bid. So I think that's a new best practice that we're going to, if the board wants to continue in that way, that would be a advisable approach. And then we'll just continue to collect data as a mass project on what that looks like year over year. So for right now, I would just go off of costs that we had for this project for next year, and then we'll just see where things go from there.
Thank you, Tamara.
This is Ken, and I think that Roy, I think that we hope that it's not $160,000 next year, because when we look at the work that they're doing this year, it's a bunch of catch-up work. It's like Tamara said, we did a bunch of piecemeal repair in previous years, and then we said, okay, look, enough's enough. Let's do one big massive repair, and that's what's being done right now. And so I think all of our hope is that next year it's not as much, but we're going to follow that same process. But just in case, we probably need to plan on it being in that neighborhood. And so I think that's the position that we're sitting at.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay. Is there anything? This is Joshua. Sorry. Is there anything we need to vote on here? I don't think so. Right?
I think so.
Does Lee need us to approve the 2021 budget?
Yes.
Does that have to be a vote?
Yes, and with the changes I've made, the new total expense is $2,407,507, and so our estimated ending balance is $200,668 for 2021.
Okay. That's if we spend everything.
Yes.
Okay. That's definitely a Ken thing. I think he wants to approve this one, right?
I'll throw a proposal out there that we approve it. We're positive cash flow, so I feel okay about that.
Yeah, it was just a budget. We don't have to spend the money.
That's right. We don't have to spend it.
And board, just something.
All right.
I'm sorry, board. This is Tamara. I just wanted to something to keep in the back of your mind. That mass landscape enhancement renovation proposal that Land Care provided. I know that is a priority. I think the board was considering, but I know we've got ponds and walls that we're working through. But just want to keep that in your mind for consideration.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we'll know more as we figure out this. The issues that we have with the walls, and we have a huge. We're going to find out about the ponds. Once Regular starts getting bids, and we'll know more. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask. After our last meeting, I think we all. This is Ken, by the way. We were shocked by the amount of work that needs to be done. Obviously, the budget won't cover all that needs to be done. What was the figure? 1.6 million or something like that.
That was the pond 4.
Yeah, just one pond, right? Yeah. And so a thought crossed my mind. I was going to ask it. It's I don't know if it's a thing or not, but with the HOA. We have a thing called special assessment. If we have expenses that's not covered by our HOA dues, we can go to the community, get approval, do a special assessment. And so I didn't know if that same kind of thing existed on the city, on the PID side. So that's the only real question that I was going to kind of throw out there to see if anybody had any opinions or knew if that would be an option in the future for accelerating some of the repair work to the ponds versus having to do a little bit each year.
Oh, this is Lee. So you're asking if the PID can do a special assessment in addition to its regular annual assessment?
Yes.
Okay. No. Actually, we've checked on that before, and the answer is no. If the PID turned out to, decided it needed more money, it could raise the assessment rate. But to do that, you have to do, hold homeowner meetings and present it to people, explain why you're raising the rate. Yeah, tax meetings may not be popular, so we try not to do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not a popular thing to do. So yeah, we're just gonna have to be real careful and prioritize the work that needs to get done and do a little each year, budget for what we can, and you know, take care of it as we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, did anybody make a motion? I didn't hear a motion, actually, I don't think.
I'll do a motion to approve the proposed 2021 budget.
All right.
And this
Ken
is-
Self making the motion.
This is Roy, and I'll second it.
All right. We'll do a vote of aye. This is Joshua Spare. I vote aye. Roy Davis,
Aye.
Ken Self.
Aye.
All right. I think that was our last thing on the agenda. We have a citizens comment forum. Are there any citizens on the call at all? I don't think there are, but is anybody on the call? Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for coming out to the meeting, and I think we're ready to adjourn at 7:30.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you all.
Good to talk to y'all. We'll talk to y'all
Have a
soon.
great evening.
Bye, y'all.
Have a great evening, everybody. Bye-bye.
You too.